You guys aren't going to believe it. For those following my tipping journey, I am in the last game here with a chance at winning my competition, the family competition. I'm currently sitting 7 from 7 this week and have taken all of those all of the upsets that I thought were a good chance, and they've all gotten up. And I've actually just decided to stick with the outsider again here in the Finns, and I'm hoping that they play like they did last week against the Broncos. And yeah, it's been an absolutely incredible run. Picked up the Sharkies. I thought, they'd bounce back. Cowboys as well, with Bulldogs having a couple of players out. You've got Raiders who had a miraculous comeback. That was awesome. But they've beat, the Roosters and the Panthers in the last couple of weeks. So I was like, well, they're a good chance of winning this. And the Dragons are falling off a cliff. And then just decided to stick with the other three favourites in Roosters, Eels and Storm. So you wouldn't believe it. I've made up 3 tips. And obviously if I get this final tip, I'm still behind right now. But if I get this final tip, I will get a full round, and I'll obviously get the extra point, which is absolutely incredible. So we'll see how this one ends up playing out. But yeah, to be 7 from 7 in this one, I'm unfortunate to Mick in there at 4th. He's probably had his worst round of the season, and I've had my best to give myself a chance. But the big part of this video, guys, we're going to have a look at where the final rankings are sitting heading into this final game there. So we'll give it a little refresh heading into it now. I think we'll have any of our loopers set in. Maybe not yet. My looper, I don't think is set in yet, but we're looking at Riley in the top spot with a 987 to finish off the round 27 clash, and he ended up captaining Galvin, which is pretty interesting. But he's just got Ponga left, and he's up ahead at the moment by 44 points on Peter, who's moved back into second spot, but he has Ponga as captain, so it's actually all going to come down to the end here. And what's the crazy thing about this is Pete actually only has 16 players coming into this week, but has Ponga as captain. So if Ponga manages to pick up a 45 or better, then I believe Pete will be winning. Well, he'll be ahead of Riley. I haven't got to Kai or anyone else yet, but he'll be ahead of Riley if Ponga gets 45 or better. So that's going to be crazy. With Kai, he has Plath, he has Gagai, he has Ponga, and he has Farnworth. So I do think that Kai has a tremendous chance of winning this one. Obviously, if Plath, Gagai, and Farnworth can hit anywhere near like a 45 average or 50 average as a team, then he will get over the top of Pete and Riley. And then Jordan, who is leading into this week, he has Plath, he has Ponga, and he has Farnworth coming into this one. So given he's behind Kai's obviously had the better week there, sitting at 796, but with 4 players to go, he's had an absolute belter outside of obviously Garrick's 25 there and Brown getting injured for 37, but everything else has been great. So I don't think Jordan can win it at this stage, but an incredible season. So, the Jordans ended up with. Bevan's in at 5th and is sitting on a 9-10, but just the 1 player left in plus. So unfortunately for Bev, he won't be able to win at the moment. And yeah, sad to see he obviously didn't end up taking the score of Drinkwater. He only had the 1 player there in Fafita that he could loop, and he ended up using that loop on Reynolds and didn't play Kolomatangi or Drinky. And unfortunately, you're seeing there obviously Karaz and Garrick at the back with 25. So it's a tough little finish for Bev with that, but hopefully he can still stick in that top 10 for an absolutely incredible season. For Kushla, he's sitting there with Sharp, with Ponga as captain, and with Plas. So Kush should end up sitting in that top 5. You've got Sean in here with Ponga and Plath, which is really, really good effort there. Should probably get close to sticking in that top 10. And then you've got Maddie in there, who has been in this top 10 for a good while now, is sitting there with Plath. He's already got Blaw's score, so just the 1 there. So yeah, obviously not a chance of winning at the moment. And then you're down to Tom there, who has Ponga and Greg Marzu, which is the same situation I'm sitting in. And then you've got Gladstone in that with a 938 here in 10th at this stage. So we'll see how the rest of the guys. We've got Hayden currently sitting there in 12th, who has Gagai, who has Ponga, and who has Plath. So is a really, really high chance of pushing into that top 10, which is really cool. But if we're looking at where he is to Bev, it's 131 points difference there. So shouldn't get as high as Bev, but we'll see how things play out. Obviously, we've seen crazier things happen, but a really, really high chance that Kai wins, but we'll have to see how all those players out. So he's had an incredible season. Kai sitting in sort of that 3rd, 4th, 5th range for a while now. So that game has started, and we'll follow along a little bit. 0-0 at the moment in that one. But let's get through a few of the games that we haven't gone through yet. There's obviously 3 yesterday. We'll just get through a few of them. And then I'll get back to watching this fixture. I've had work today, so been tough to get into any of them. But let's just go quickly through a few of them. And Little was the standout in this one, 86, along with Tom Eisenhuth. So congrats to anyone who owns those guys, along with Ben Hunt, Hudson Young, Jaden Sewer. So Little finishes at a 53 average, which is pretty crazy. So he'll still be very expensive come next year. And the fact that Cook's coming over anyway will probably hurt that one a little bit. But some nice scores there. Horsburgh with that try off the kick was pretty cool. You had Hopewadi, you had Seb Chris all getting big scores just randomly. And then Matt Timoko with a much improved score in this one, but sitting there at a 38 average and just a tick over what Isaac Tungo ended up with. And we know that Timoko can can do really good things. So he might be, if the Raiders can come out pretty hot to begin next year, he could be an interesting one to have a look at. You had Fogs with a 53 and Tarpany with a 48. Only 45 minutes for Taps, it's pretty low, obviously. And both those guys will be fairly expensive, obviously, in the early to mid 700s to come next year. Smitty's had a really solid season, averaged 45 in the end after that, starting well into that slow bunch of weeks there where I ended up selling him to Gutho, rough, where he picked up 60 and then 50 odd and played the full 80 for a bit there. So, thanks Smithies for that one. Starling ended up at 36. I did play Gray over Starling in the end. Just thought the minutes off the bench weren't going to be enough, but his PPM was pretty good in that one. And then Lomax at 34. He ends up at a 50 average on the dot. So good on to Lomax. And obviously there's some small changes to come potentially for some of these guys here, but a KO week's 18 to end the year wasn't exactly what the doctor ordered for anyone with KO in the side. And moving on to what a great game. I got to go and watch this one, and it's really nice seeing that outside-inside ball from Jeremiah Nanai into Drinkwater. Obviously owning Drinky was cool. Hillam Lukey just was finding gaps after gaps all night. It was really strange on that side to see that happening. Didn't expect that at all, because that was a side with Sexton there, with Preston, with Stephen Crichton, and they just kept finding gaps after gap, which is crazy. So Lukey had 4 line breaks in this one, big run meters and big tackle breaks, obviously. Picked up a try as well. And then you had Drinky 65, was an awesome finish for the year. But he ends it at an average of 49, which will see him a tick under 700k likely to begin next year. But I doubt I'll be starting with him. So it's just really great as an owner here to have Drinky and Cotter. And a shout out to Kyle Felt with a double as well in this one. But Cotter, thankfully, after a couple of really lean weeks, got back to some big improvements, had a forced dropout and 3 turnover tackles to help him out get over that 50 mark. And then Preston are just a really solid 53 tackles to get him up to a 57. Ends the year at a 52 average. I think he's going to be a really cool guy to potentially start with next year if he's fit and firing. This year they begun his season on like high 60s minutes. So we know that if he plays 80 on a regular basis, he's a really, really good guy to own. Reed Marnie finishes a tick under 50 average after that awesome start. Sexton a 37 average, but picks up a 50 here. Val Holmes at under 49 now, but a 44 for him in that one was solid enough, with King very similar at a 49.2 average with his 44. Bailey Hayward there, you've got Tamlolo, Edwards, Crichton ends at a 32.6, so yeah, pretty low. But it looks like it's what we are expecting. These types of scores from Crichton at the Dogs, basically. Curran 26 in 35, so if he ends up getting a big imminent role next year through injuries or whatever else, then that 45 average will be a pretty solid price point to grab at. But it didn't work out perfectly this year, and a tough finish for Carraz, unfortunately, a 25 for him in the 80-minute effort. He was a bit hurt at the back end of that game, but just low run meters for him. We hope to see him around the 200 so we can get more TBs and offloads, but wasn't to be there for Jacob. With the 25, and Eli Clark, he was in the wars, wasn't he? Ended up playing just a 1 minute less than full. But he was copping it. And then Hutcho just played the first 40. And unfortunately didn't look great. Had 3 errors, 4 missed tackles. Not ideal there on that front. And Carraz, 48 average for the season. Owned him and Cotter for the entire season. So that was really cool. And we'll go through and review my team. And obviously Scoop will go through his as well in a separate video. So make sure you stick around for that. And obviously finals fantasy as well. But Jeremiah and I are 26. Not good at all. And it's still 0-0 after 10 minutes with the Knights and the Finns. Very, very cool. And then the last one we'll go through here is the Panthers and the Titans there. And Isaiah Yeo just continues to burn me. But at least this time it wasn't a mid-80s score there on that one, that's for sure. But no negatives in this game. So he's just an incredible player. An incredible effort there on that one. And then Jaden Campbell at 58. Played a fullback. So that was fun to see. Obviously very low on the kick meter side, just 11. But running was great. Scored a try early. Picked up a try save, a turnover tackle as well. And then Randall a 57. So great effort from those two. Campbell finishes the year at a 54 average. Randall at a 43. So if we do see him in this type of role next year, which is unlikely given we've got Tino coming back, which is crazy to see that we'll have Tino there. Hopefully he gets a bit of a reduction in price. We'll see how that one plays out for Big Fa'a Sulamalawi. I haven't had to say that too much this year because he hasn't been playing. Sad. To'o, 55 for him. A great game on that one. 2 line breaks a try. Jolliffe back to some good form, and we'll see what happens with him for minutes next year. But again, it's Tino season next year. Verrills a 53, and his 80 was really solid. You got Smith, Kenny, Edwards, and Henry all really solid there, 51s and 49s. Edwards finished the year at a 54.7 average, which was pretty crazy. Good stuff there from him. And then Henry at 40.6 average, and the PPM every time is just crazy. 49 in 38 minutes this one here. Fermor with a 48 in his 80 minutes out in the park. Yeah, solid year for him. Welcome back, and I think he'll be he's moves a lot through the centres. Hopefully they have some luck, but if he just plays back row for the entirety of next year, I think that he's going to have a 55 kind of season and be 5 points undervalued, and we'll see if he should probably start with the center tag, given he played a lot of games at center, and he played at center in this one again. He still picked up a 48, so he's full of good scores, Bowie, and good at obviously the cover tackle because he picks up turnover tackles and try savers out in the centers there. So that'll be a fun one. But he did average 50 for the year, which is tough to swallow if you're looking to grab him next year. But Fisher Harris, Martin, both 39 apiece. Luai 38, so it made me feel a bit better that I didn't get him. But we'll see how Ponga ends up in this game, who was the guy I ended up getting last week. And then Leota, Alamotti, Brian Kelly at 24, so he ends up under 40 average. So we'll see if the Titans can come out hot next year, and if they do, he's a good chance of obviously getting a win. And it's still 0 after 11 minutes. So we'll leave that there, guys. I'll go watch that and see if I can get the win in my tipping comp. But I hope you came to check out where things are at in terms of the rankings. And I hope to see you guys in that next one. If you had any changes, no changes there. So we'll see how that one plays out over the last game. And good luck to everyone that I've mentioned in this top 10. And I hope that you have a really, really cool game and finish exactly where you want. And anyone else, hopefully your rank ends up in a spot where you're happy with. Mine is sitting to tick out over 1,000. So I've got to sort that out and get some good scores coming into this game. And I'm not sure what's happening with Plath there. He's just not getting any points as of the moment. So we'll see how that one plays out. But thanks for being here, guys, and we'll catch you in that next video later. Go the Dolphins.